What's up guys, Rami here with the second stimulus check update and second stimulus package update. We have some great news to cover in this video from the White House and more importantly from the Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, as well as some other stimulus updates. So let's cover all these things right after. You please hit the like button on the video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, so I can update you with everything regarding the second stimulus check and stimulus package, plus more money and finance news. All right, so let's begin with comments from Mark Meadows, the White House Chief of Staff. He said yesterday morning that the White House could get on board with another round of direct payments to Americans, given President Donald Trump's support of the measure. Then he says, I think the president has been very clear that he's supportive of another stimulus check, and yet at the same time, we want to make sure that we're addressing things in a real systemic way. Whether that is making sure that the take-home check for every American is greater with a payroll tax deduction, whether it's making sure that we provide incentives for American manufacturing to be brought back from abroad. Okay, so again, words coming out from the White House reiterating the support for a second stimulus check. This is good news as far as I'm concerned. We already heard President Trump himself saying he supports a second stimulus check and want to see money going to the American people. And he even went as far as saying he wants to give larger checks than what the Democrats want, which was very surprising to hear. This must create a lot of political pressure on Republicans in the Senate. When you have the Republican president himself saying he wants a second round of stimulus checks, it will be very difficult to have Senate Republicans come out and say, no, sorry, we want to be fiscally responsible and we don't think the American people deserve a second round of stimulus checks because the country is opening up and we're seeing a good jobs report. This wouldn't sound too good and would actually be political suicide for these Senator Republicans and for the president himself, given how huge and how important this election is, which is only 4 months away now. Speaking of Senate Republicans, we heard from their leader, Senator Mitch McConnell, where he said in a public appearance in Kentucky, his home state, that a second stimulus check could well be a part of the next economic relief package. He then said, I think the people who have been hit the hardest are people who make about $40,000 a year or less. Many of them work in the hospitality industry. This is kind of in line with what Larry Kudlow said before, that direct payments could go to people who lost their jobs and are most in need. This is good news for those who make less than $40,000 a year, because it sounds like almost confirmation that there will be a second stimulus check, but bad news in the sense that it will be more targeted at a lower income threshold than the last stimulus check. In the last stimulus package, you got the full check if you make $75,000 a year or less and phases out until $99,000. That's for single people. Having a more targeted stimulus check was something that was talked a lot about recently. And I don't know if that $40,000 was just some random number that Mitch McConnell just threw out there, or is it something real that he knows about and part of the bill that they are currently working on and will most likely be presented when they go back to DC on July 20th. We'll just have to wait and see. But at least he did recognize that the virus is spiking and is putting a huge strain on the economy, and said that there will be another relief package that will come out in a couple of weeks, and this will be the final stimulus bill. That's what he said. The one big issue that honestly needs to be talked about more now, even more than the stimulus checks, is the $600 unemployment benefit, the $600 per week benefit. What is going to happen with that? We know some senators don't want to extend it. Some suggest it could get extended, but at a lower number, between $300 to $450 per week, instead of the full $600 per week. Some suggested changing it to going back to work bonus, like the $450 per week plan proposed by Senator Rob Portman. But it was never clear what would happen to those who already went back to work or those who didn't stop working, like essential workers. And it just wasn't clear. That plan wasn't very clear. But the problem here is that this benefit will expire at the end of the month. And depending on when your state issues your payment, it may end a few days before July 31st. And if the Senate will only start discussions on the next bill starting on July 20th, That leaves very little time for debate, voting, and approving and having something signed into law before that deadline. So unless magic happens and they do something quickly, which I doubt at this point, maybe they will have to do something just specifically addressing that benefit and pass that on its own, similar to what they did with the PPP loan applications deadline. The deadline for that was June 30th, and that night, the same night, they got together, reached a bipartisan agreement to push that date to August 8th, and got it done fast. And the president already signed it into law. So when they want something done, it can be done. So we'll see what happens with the $600 benefit. I'm sure everyone who is receiving that benefit is anxious to find out what's going to happen. Losing $600 per week in income overnight is a big hit and would put millions of people under tremendous financial hardship. So I really hope Congress addresses this issue soon after they come back from the recess. So what do you guys think of this latest update from the White House and Senator Mitch McConnell? Let me know all your thoughts in the comments below. Let's have a conversation about it. Thank you so much for watching. Please hit the like button on the video, subscribe if you haven't already, and click that notifications bell to be notified whenever I publish new videos and new content for you. And don't forget to get your free stock from Robinhood and 2 free stocks from Webull, with one of them potentially worth up to $1,400 when you deposit only $100, which is just like cash. You can take it out anytime you feel like it. Links are in the description below. Please stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you in the next video.